Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us at the Product Marketing Festival. Before we start this session, we just wanted to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors, partners, and festival attendees for helping us make this happen. Don't forget to check out our AMA site, both during and after the festival. We've got lots of speakers taking questions after their talks. Enjoy the session.
Monday.com is the project management platform my team and I use to keep our work moving forward, anywhere, anytime. Monday.com gives us a clear picture of who's working on what and where it all stands. And when we mark something done, there's a sense of real progress. Plus, we can share files and keep each other updated, all in one place. So, if you want to get more done with your team, go to Monday.com and start your free trial today.
Every company has its unique characteristics. Brand identity, products, market share, and fan base. As product marketers, you bleed the brand. You bleed the brand because you help shape its product identity. You worked day and night with product engineers, sales, and customers to create the perfect product and its story. And people are listening to you. They like your story so much that after they buy your products, they want to tell their own story about it. They want to be featured in press releases, help write case studies, and tell their network that they need to buy it too. And the competitors, well, you know everything there is to know about them. You're ahead of the game and equipped your sales team to also be ahead of the game. You gave them everything from battle cards to talking points, even quotes from customers you converted saying how much better you are than the competition. And then one day you find out your company bought the competition. Yes, get out of my hair, competitor. We own you now. You start high-fiving everyone on your team. This is how you crush the competition. This is how, well, wait a minute. Your victory dance comes to a screeching halt. Something changes. You realize that as product marketer, your job just became even more important. It is important because it is up to you to reinvent the product story. You have little time to prove to the world that you, once rivals, are better together and can protect the qualities that made each company successful. So, no pressure. Today, I'm going to talk about what product marketers can do to reinvent their product or brand story after a merger or an acquisition, specifically through tips on how to align our core four audiences: product, sales, marketing, and customers. And while my angle is on M&A, I'm hoping you can apply these tips to your working life, whether that's working with an outside partner, just joining a new company, a company reorg, or something else. Now, before I get into it, a quick story about my background and Latera. I've been in marketing for well over a decade, with the majority of my experience focused on product marketing. Almost every company I've worked for experienced at least one acquisition while I was there, and without really signing up for it, I've become quite familiar in the role that product marketers play when this happens. When I joined Latera 2 years ago, they had just finished the process of merging 4 companies into one, quickly becoming one of the biggest legal software providers in the world. My mission was pretty straightforward: to refine and reinforce our new product story as the end-to-end document drafting solution. It was a challenge I felt comfortably uncomfortable with, and the team did a great job executing. But since then, the private equity company that owned Latera sold us to another firm, which meant now we had a new parent company with new HR policies and procedures. And under new ownership, we acquired 3 competitors, 2 of which were only a few weeks apart, and one happened days before the biggest legal tech industry event in the world. You can imagine the chaos that we had, but we managed it like champs. As a result, we have successfully consolidated our product portfolio, and our customers are excited to partner with us on our quest to be the leading document drafting and collaboration software for professionals in the legal space. So what do you do if or when this happens to you? You're going to want to align with each of your core 4 audiences. But before you do that, I have to start with my number 1 most important tip, which will set the tone in every professional conversation you have. Be happy. So let's go back to the story I started a few minutes ago when I found out about the back-to-back acquisitions. Our products directly competed with each other, and I got very nervous. Which products will we keep? What about redundancies and headcount? We have a major event right around the corner. What's our new story? It is so easy to go into panic mode, but don't. It is pointless. All the papers have been signed, and the money is transferred, and the deal has closed. So even though you have some questions right now, there may not be answers yet. Instead, take a few deep breaths and focus on how this creates a winning strategy. If you were the company being acquired, first, take it as a compliment. Maybe it was your stellar marketing that caught the buyer's eyes in the first place. And now, it's likely that your brand or products are eligible for more funding, which can be put towards things like product development or marketing spend. And who doesn't love that? When I was working for an apartment rental website, we went from having medium market share and medium to low advertising budget to one of the most recognizable rental websites in the US with a celebrity spokesperson. It was incredible to be part of the journey, and in order to make it happen, we had to trust our leadership and focus on the win. So now let's imagine the other side of the coin, where you work for the acquiring company. You potentially just eliminated a competitor, which makes your win-loss analysis much easier to run. Your sales team is in a better position, and you have fewer objections to overcome. Your product portfolio will only become more powerful. And then once you've come to terms with the change mentally, get to know people. Ask HR for an org chart right away and get to know the names and departments of your new coworkers. Volunteer to coordinate a celebratory party with your employee engagement team so that, if possible, both companies can mix and mingle, even if it's virtual. And at the very least, I'm sure your leadership team will host an all-hands to explain why the change happened and the short and long-term vision. So no matter which side of the coin you're on, stay positive, trust the mission, and be open to working with a new team. Which brings us to the good part. How to work with your new team members. I suggest starting by setting up some time with product. And this is exciting because you get to find out what's under the hood. All this time you've been competitors, and now you finally get to let your guard down and swap competitive battle cards, talk tracks for overcoming objections, and get clarity on gray areas that you had about product functionality. So you can find out how you stack up against each other in the feature comparison chart. What are the value of those features? How often are they used? These answers will help you understand the real pros and cons of each product. And then if it hasn't been done already, start thinking about the product roadmap. Will both products continue to receive updates? Will one product sunset? What is a migration plan for customers to move from one platform to the other? And if they don't want to move, will we as a business support customers differently based on the product that they're using? There are a lot of questions to answer in this stage, and the answers are rarely cut and dry. Because it's not just a matter of which platform generates the most revenue or which one has the most features. That's important to consider. But it's also about which one has a more modern architecture, which can help the product live a longer life. You also, of course, want to discuss ownership and communications. Remember that not every company has a product marketing team, and sometimes product managers play double duty as product marketer. If the company does have a PMM function, it may not mean the same thing to them as it does to you. Either way, you certainly don't want to come off threatening if you say, for example, I own the win-loss interview process, and here's how I do it. Because maybe it's something that they are used to owning and really love. So make sure that you and your new PMs agree on what product marketing means to the business, the roles you'll play, and who owns what. Then, align on communications. Ask to be invited to sprint review or planning meetings. Those generally tend to have a lot of attendees, so be sure to also set aside time to meet as a smaller group, which will help you connect on projects and roadblocks. And once you've reached an agreement, share your plans with your teammates and the revenue team. When they know that product and product marketing are lockstep, it creates confidence in the journey ahead. And speaking of the revenue team, this is the next team you'll want to meet with. You're going to want to understand their sales methodology, enablement, and training. So start thinking about qualifying leads and how they move throughout the funnel. Who is involved and at what stage? At what stage of the cycle do deals usually get stuck? When do they drop off? How do they know when to walk away from a deal? It may be that you have to work with someone in sales ops to take a closer look at their dashboards and then ask some of your new friendlies for the meaning behind the numbers. Find out about their sales enablement resources. What do they depend on? I'm talking about pitch decks, videos, product sheets, ROI calculators. What are those clutch resources that they cannot live without when closing a deal or nurturing customers? If you can, I suggest asking a sales rep to pitch to you. Imagine if you are a client of your product and this salesperson is meeting with you to convince you to switch over. Ask as many questions as you want throughout the presentation. You'll hear firsthand how their story is delivered, the tools they use to deliver it, and how they overcome objections. But remember to be fair now, so offer to pitch your product as well. This is one of the most exciting parts of joining together because you finally get to share each other's secret sauce, and you'll walk away with ideas on how to make your product marketing bundle even stronger. And then at some point, dig into training. What does product learning and development look like? How did the sales team learn about all of the products, their value, and how did they get trained to tell their story? How do they use the resources that they have available to them? It might be that your new partner company has a learning and development team. If so, consider working with them like you would with product and align on ownership. Where I work today at Latera, product marketing creates all the training content, then partners with our learning and development team to build, deploy, and measure the success of the training. But it wasn't always like that. When I started, product marketing owned the entire product training program, while our trainer focused on professional development and onboarding. Through our acquisitions, our learning and development team has grown, and now we have the luxury to focus more on functional strengths. Mine is on audience and product messaging, and theirs is on educational development. And not to overwhelm you, but sales is not just an account executive. It is also a business development rep, sales engineers, demo experts, and customer success. If you can, please meet with them, at least one person from every team. It's likely that they have their own toolkit and processes that you'll want to learn about and partner on later. So the next team you're obviously going to want to meet with are your new friends in marketing. Like with product and training, you're going to want to start by aligning roles and responsibilities. Marketing teams can be quite large, covering brand, digital, PR, and comms, design, and so much more. So work closely with leadership and your new teammates to come together on the new team format, decide ownership over projects and practice areas, and share best tips. Then it's time for the magic to happen and put your stories and resources together. Being the data-driven product marketer that you are, you already know what has worked well and what can be improved on your end. And now you have a pretty good idea about your partner company as well. It's time to roll up your sleeves and create a marketing inventory. Use a project management platform of your preference to make a detailed list of everything that exists. Sales resources, thought leadership content, collateral, quotes, web pages, I mean it, everything. At Latera, the marketing team uses Smartsheets to manage these kinds of tasks. And when we acquired two companies back to back, we outlined every resource that we knew existed amongst the three brands. And this is just a snapshot of our integration list. And once you have your list together, Go line by line and decide as a team what should be sunset, what should be updated, and what should be rebranded. For every status, agree on which items are high priority to update now and which ones can wait. But a word of caution, even when the new product team announces your go-forward product, don't be quick to kill your collateral. Here's why. In our case, we knew that product B was going to be the go-forward platform, and sales should no longer sell product A. But even though no one would be selling product A, we had customers that just bought it days before the acquisition was announced. Could you imagine being in their shoes? They just invested thousands of dollars on a new software and then learned it will no longer be supported and it's no longer to be found on the website. We have to show some empathy here. It may be that you can take product A resources off the site, but they still need to be available for the customers to access in your customer portal or in a secure location available to the customer success team. And now you know which resources you need. What is the message that you're going to put on them? You don't always have to go through the methodical, time-consuming exercises of writing product messaging and positioning from scratch. In one case at Latera, we were merging two products with similar market share. We know what people love about each one, so we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. In that case, we simply took the proven best one-liner value statements, the best quotes, and features from old messaging and put them together. It's not always as easy, but the point is it doesn't have to be that difficult either. And now it's time for the make or break stuff, how you communicate your product roadmap to customers. One crack in the system can put your entire reputation at risk, so please make sure you have a tight communication plan. At this point in time, you should have answers to all the questions that you asked product when you first met with them. The best you can, visualize it into a slide or two that customer success and sales can use in meetings. Here's an example of what we made at Latera. You can create internal talking points on the product and migration strategy. Send a regular cadence of roadmap consolidation updates to the company. You can host a webinar or write a blog post. And if you have budget, I recommend working with an agency to create a video. Then, you can even dedicate a page on your website that details what you're doing. It can be the host for all your resources. And here's what we did at Latera. When 3 companies were coming together, we updated the homepage of all websites with a notification and created a dedicated integration landing page with the press releases, an FAQ, links to blog posts about our roadmap, and more. And a few short weeks later, we produced 2 videos that we added to the website. One highlighted our company mission and vision, which reinforced our aggressive acquisition strategy, and another that showed hypothetically how overlapping products would come together to still deliver a seamless experience. Now we finally come to our 4th core audience that we need to align with during a merger or acquisition, our customers. When it comes to customer alignment, it all boils down to how we share this information with them, listen to them, and nurture them. That's why I'm going to create a little bit of a divide between customers into 2 groups. Internal, meaning sales, and external, meaning anyone who purchased or plans to purchase your products. I know we technically already covered sales, but that was more of a getting to know you level. And this is all about coming together on understanding the value and power of consolidation. As much as marketing tries to knock it out of the park with brand awareness, salespeople are often the real spokesperson for our company. So let's start with them, the revenue team. I recommend kicking off with a training session, followed by weekly office hours, where people can tune in to observe or submit live questions and answers, and share feedback that they're hearing in the market. If you have a large revenue organization, I suggest you break it up into smaller groups So there's a focus training for pre-sales and one for post-sales teams. Now, of course, you want them to relay the same message and be familiar with the same marketing resources. But how these resources are used and the questions that each team is likely going to ask will be different. For example, on the pre-sales side, a sales rep will likely start asking questions about how product consolidation impacts their revenue target. On the post-sales side, someone in customer success will be asking questions about the technical details of the customer migration strategy. When both teams are in the same room, one might dominate the conversation while the other one starts to tune out a little bit. To keep everyone informed, you can memorialize all the questions they asked into an FAQ and distribute it as an internal-only document after the training. And I suggest making this a living document. This way, when you host your weekly office hours or get more questions from the team, it will always include the latest information. As for external customers, well, they're anxious to know what's going on. You'll likely see a blend of excitement and concern over the acquisition. After all, you can't blame someone for wondering what will happen to the products that they have been using. They might ask, are you going to make me change? How much is this going to cost me? Or even, I just went through an evaluation process that took months to decide between the two of you, and now you're together as one company? What the heck? So the key here is to communicate immediately and often with your external audience. With your messaging tight, encourage the revenue team to get on the phone with all of their customers, or at the very least, tier 1 customers, to personally tell them about the acquisition and what they can expect with overlapping products. See if you can join these calls too. It would be a great opportunity to hear firsthand how they react to the news and how they respond to the messaging that you created. And for everyone you can't call, send them an email. Share and reshare integration resources like the landing page, the press release, and social posts. Depending on your business model, it might also make sense for you to host customer office hours where they can chime in for a live Q&A session. When your messaging is right and you treat each customer like they are your number one, the easier it will be to get them on your level of excitement and be thrilled to be part of your journey. Now, I started with the tip to be happy, so I figured I should round out with another tip. To be agile. It may not sound as fun, but it is so important. So what do I mean by this? First, be flexible in your content. Everything you produce should be carefully measured and monitored for its effectiveness. If something isn't working or if it's not up to your standards, change it. Also, be flexible with how you manage your relationships. Your company just took a 180 overnight. You're working with new personalities, and everyone is experiencing a lot of change. Even things that are true today may change tomorrow. Be empathetic and understanding to the new culture. You don't want to unintentionally step on toes or cause any friction. Kick your emotional intelligence up a few notches and pay close attention when you should loosen up on what you might call standard procedures. It's likely that these don't exist anymore. And you're going to need your smart new coworkers by your side to develop a very strong path forward. And finally, be flexible with the suggestions that I gave you. Every team is different, and this presentation was a small sample of ways that you can align with your key audiences. By no means is this a complete list of programs and tactics that you can take during an M&A, but I hope it was at least a little bit helpful for you. And if you have other ideas on possibilities and things you can do, let's talk. Here's my contact information. Thank you for joining.